The Giant's Causeway on the coast of Northern Ireland is one of the UK's outstanding natural features, with its steep cliffs and deep bays forming a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and a tourist sent his drone soaring above the cliffs of Ireland, simply chasing the glow of a golden sunset with no idea he was about to record something that felt like it broke reality itself. The footage lasts just 11 seconds, and in those seconds a massive slab of stone nearly 20 tons slowly moves outward from the cliff face. It doesn't crack, it doesn't crumble, it slides calmly and precisely like a door designed by expert engineers with nothing but darkness behind it, no light, no visible depth, just a black void. Then, just as quietly as it opened, the stone glides back into place and seals perfectly with no gap, no fracture, and no sign that it ever moved at all. And the man holding the controller wasn't a thrill-seeker or a conspiracy hunter but a 34-year-old electrician from Dublin who just wanted cinematic shots of the coastline and instead captured something that seems to defy geology, physics, and plain common sense. The Giant's Causeway is a surreal shoreline made up of nearly 40,000 interlocking basalt columns shaped into near-perfect hexagons, a place already famous for legends now hiding something far more unsettling, and scientists say these formations were created millions of years ago when volcanic lava hotter than 2,000 degrees slowly cooled and contracted, a rare example of nature's perfect geometry. No one has ever reported hollow chambers inside those cliffs, no geological scans ever detected internal cavities, and no legends or folklore ever spoke of a massive stone door that could move until now, and when the video surfaced online, experts reached out within hours, including one coastal geologist who has spent over 15 years studying that exact formation and said the footage leaves only two possibilities. Either it violates everything we know about how rock forms or it's the most sophisticated hoax ever created. Because if that stone slab truly moved, it means something inside those columns wasn't formed by nature but was built, and if it was built, the question becomes, who built it? And the researcher didn't waste a moment but rushed to the site with her ground-penetrating radar, the same cliffs she had studied for years as one of the world's leading geologists who knows these stones better than almost anyone alive. She set up her equipment and began scanning the exact section of cliff where the stone door had appeared, and what showed up on her screen made her freeze, and for nearly 2 full minutes she didn't say a word as the radar revealed a massive hollow chamber hidden deep inside the solid rock measuring roughly 12 feet deep and 26 feet wide, a discovery that alone should have been impossible. But what was inside the chamber was far more disturbing, as the scan detected 7 tall figures standing upright in the darkness, each one measuring between 7 and 8 feet tall, far larger than any known humans who lived in Ireland thousands of years ago, and even more unsettling, they weren't scattered or random but arranged in a precise formation spaced exactly 4.5 feet apart like soldiers standing at attention. Every single one of them was facing the same direction, facing the door inside the cliffs of Giant's Causeway, and that's when the discovery stopped being strange and became truly terrifying, because basalt doesn't form around standing objects, and the only way those figures could exist inside solid stone is if they were already there while the lava was still liquid, meaning they've been sealed inside for at least 60 million years. Humans didn't exist back then, and even the dinosaurs were still disappearing, so whatever these things are, they were here long before us. And then it got worse as the following day another scientist arrived with more advanced scanning equipment, a geophysicist from Belfast who specializes in reading underground structures, and at first he worked calmly and professionally, but about 20 minutes in, his hands began shaking so badly he had to set his tablet down. His detailed scans revealed something deeply unsettling, as each of the 7 figures was a shell with a thin outer layer, as if something had once occupied the inside or possibly still did, and even stranger, the material made no sense because whatever those shells were made of should never have survived molten lava, as nothing organic can endure temperatures above 2,000 degrees, yet these forms existed inside rock that had once been liquid fire, sealed there for tens of millions of years. Within 48 hours government agencies were alerted, and that's when things became truly strange, as an official environmental agency arrived and released a public statement dismissing the entire incident, claiming the drone footage was nothing more than light and shadow and insisting there was no hidden chamber and urging the public to stop speculating, but their lead consultant refused to sign the report. Witnesses say she reviewed the sonar data, turned visibly pale, and resigned from her position the very next week with a resignation letter only one sentence long saying she had seen enough, and soon after, the entire area around Giant's Causeway was sealed off with barriers and warning signs as officials blamed erosion and safety concerns, but everyone involved knew they weren't protecting the cliffs, they were hiding something. One researcher quietly returned 4 days after the first scan to compare new data with earlier results as standard protocol in any serious investigation, and she expected no changes at all, but when the new image loaded on her screen, her heart nearly stopped because one of the figures was gone and only 6 remained, yet the stone door hadn't opened even once since the original event. The electrician had installed a motion-activated camera aimed directly at the cliff face, recording non-stop, and the footage showed no movement, no shifts, and no cracks, with the door staying sealed the entire time, yet inside that locked chamber one of the 7-foot-tall beings had simply vanished with no dust, no debris, no tunnel, and no indication of where it went, as if the thing had walked straight through solid basalt. A different scientist arrived from another city to run thermal imaging tests with the simple goal of ruling out volcanic heat or underground water, and it was a freezing March morning with air temperature just 39 degrees and the cliff face equally cold, but when she aimed her thermal camera at the hidden chamber, the screen exploded with bright reds and oranges as the 6 remaining figures were glowing with heat at 99 degrees Fahrenheit, nearly identical to the internal body temperature of a healthy human. That should have been impossible, as stone cannot retain that kind of warmth for 60 million years, especially while surrounded by icy ocean air and cold rock, and the readings were so precise that the scientist actually asked her colleagues if they were playing a prank, but when she realized no one was joking, she quietly packed up her equipment and stopped responding to emails for 3 full weeks. The team then installed vibration sensors directly into the rock to listen to what the stone itself was doing, and what they detected was far worse, a rhythmic pulse coming from behind the wall, steady and unmistakable, repeating every 4 seconds, and one of the scientists chose his words carefully but eventually admitted the truth that it sounded exactly like a slow, deliberate heartbeat. The thermal readings weren't stable either, as at random moments temperatures would spike above 100 degrees then gradually fall again, and these changes didn't match ocean tides, weather shifts, or any known geological pattern, and every 72 hours the team ran new scans to track the chamber, and what they saw made the situation even more terrifying as the 6 remaining figures were changing position, not moving quickly but inching forward just a few inches at a time. They were no longer standing in perfect formation but clustered together and slowly advancing toward the sealed door, looking less like random movement and more like awakening, like something stirring after an unimaginably long sleep, and these beings had been sealed inside solid rock for 60 million years, existed before humans, outlived the dinosaurs, and endured continental drift, ice ages, and the rise of civilization itself, and now inside the cliffs of Giant's Causeway they were starting to move. More than 1 million people visit the Giant's Causeway every year, with families strolling across the ancient black stones, taking selfies, and listening to tour guides share playful stories about giants building bridges to Scotland, with none of those visitors having any idea that just 39 feet behind the cliff face, hidden in total darkness, 6 massive entities remain radiating body heat into the surrounding cold stone while the government has worked relentlessly to keep that secret buried. One of the scientists involved tried to make the truth public by spending months analyzing the thermal data, documenting the heat signatures, and compiling her findings into a detailed report submitted to the official geological board, but her paper was rejected immediately with her equipment questioned and her conclusions dismissed, and then quietly a friend who worked on that board contacted her in secret and told her the real reason. No one wanted to deal with the chaos this information would unleash. In April, all monitoring equipment was quietly removed from the site, and the scientists involved were warned to stay silent or risk losing their careers, but the evidence didn't disappear, as the electrician still has the original drone footage backed up on 3 separate hard drives, and the researchers made their own quiet decisions, keeping secret copies of the sonar data, and that data is the most disturbing part of this entire story. The final sensor readings taken just before the equipment was removed showed the 6 remaining figures were still active, still shifting, and still pulsing, with the one closest to the door now only a few feet from the entrance and its rhythmic heartbeat growing stronger with each passing day. And the one question that refuses to go away is, where is the 7th one? When the chamber was first scanned, there were 7 figures, but now there are only 6. One of them is already gone, and if it escaped from that sealed room, the questions become, how did it get out? And most frightening of all, where is it now? As it could be anywhere, deep beneath the freezing waters of the Atlantic Ocean, hidden inside a dark unexplored cave along the coastline, or somewhere else entirely, moving through places humans have never set foot. Before the equipment was taken away, one researcher made a desperate decision to gather every piece of data they had collected, the sonar scans, thermal readings, vibration patterns, and movement coordinates, and feed it all into an advanced AI analysis system used by leading universities to study geological anomalies, and she expected the AI to find mistakes or warn about corrupted data or malfunctioning equipment. But instead the system processed everything in under 4 minutes and delivered results that left the entire team in stunned silence. The AI confirmed that the rhythmic 4-second pulse was not geological in origin after comparing the vibration pattern against a database of more than 200,000 known natural phenomena, including tidal movements, seismic activity, and underground water flow, with 0 matches, and the conclusion was blunt and deeply unsettling. This pattern wasn't natural, it was biological. The AI went further by cross-referencing the thermal readings with the movement data and mapping the path of each figure to project where they were heading next, and the results were chilling, as the figures weren't moving at random but advancing in a deliberate, coordinated sequence, like they were following a plan set in motion long ago. And then the system uncovered something even more alarming hidden deep in the sonar data that no human had noticed. Beneath the figures carved into the chamber floor were markings, geometric patterns etched directly into the basalt, and they weren't random shapes or natural fractures but a repeating sequence identified by the AI as a structured system governed by mathematical rules, possibly a language, and though the system couldn't translate it, as nothing in any known human database matched the patterns, it reached one conclusion with 94% confidence. The markings were intentional, intelligent, and consistent, created by something that understood geometry at a level that rivals modern engineering. When the researcher shared these results with the rest of the team, one of them completely broke down because this meant the beings inside the rock hadn't merely survived there for 60 million years but had communicated, left messages, and made plans and weren't trapped, they were waiting, and the AI's final output was a single line no one on the team has been able to forget, calculating a probability window for what it described as a significant event at the sealed entrance with an estimated time frame of within the next several months. Based on the movement patterns, the rising heat signatures, and how close the figures now are to the exit, many researchers believe the stone door is going to open again soon, and when it does, those 6 beings will step into a world completely transformed since the last time they were awake, and no one knows what they will do, where they will go, whether they are dangerous, whether they are intelligent, or whether they remember what Earth looked like 60 million years ago. We've lived on this planet believing we were the first, believing we were alone, believing we understood our own origins, but we were wrong, as we're not the owners of this world but guests on a planet that belonged to something else long before us, and the stone door has already moved once on its own. The figures inside are warming and shifting position and gathering closer to the exit, and their heartbeats are growing stronger with every passing day. One researcher said something that stayed with everyone who heard it. We think of ancient history as something dead and buried, something we dig up and analyze, but what if ancient history isn't dead at all? What if it's just been sleeping, and what if it's about to wake up? And every piece of evidence points to the same conclusion. They're preparing to leave their volcanic tomb beneath Giant's Causeway, and when they do, humanity will be forced to confront a truth we were never ready to accept. We are not the first, we were never alone, and the true owners of this planet may be about to reclaim what was always theirs.